spring of 1981, tensions between Iran and the United States threatened to boil over into major theater war. An international crisis in which 52 Americans were held captive by Islamic revolutionaries in Tehran just ended. For 444 days, Iranians controlled the U.S. Embassy. The catastrophe finally ended in January 1981 with the release of all hostages. Images of Americans at the mercy of Iranian college students still haunted the American psyche. President Reagan was concerned the Islamic Revolution would further engulf Iran. A major concern, Ayatollah Khomeini might prevent the free flow of oil in the Persian Gulf. Still shaken by the stunning 1979 Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, the U.S. Department of Defense was also concerned about a Soviet move on Iran.
Well, you have to look at the context, which was amidst the Cold War, and there was the very real possibility of a global war against the Soviet Union. And there was a recognition that if the Soviets could take Middle East oil, it represented an Achilles heel for the West. It's 2/3 of all the proven oil reserves at the time stemmed from the Middle East.
Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger realized the boundary between two massive four-star commands, European Command and Pacific Command, ran through the most volatile region in the world, the Middle East.
Prior to the formation of CENTCOM, a number of commands came and went that had a supplementary focus on the Middle East. These are all headquartered in MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida, and they all had a focus on deploying rapidly anywhere in the world. The final such command was formed in 1980. This is the Rapid Deployment Joint Task Force, or the RDJTF. RJTF was a command under a 3-star general with a responsibility for quickly moving a large force overseas to any contingency in the world. The RJTF also had responsibility to plan to respond to a crisis in the Persian Gulf or Iran.
To ensure a single command would lead American efforts in the event of a war in the Persian Gulf, Weinberger approved the formation of a new command, U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM. The new combatant command would be headquartered at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida. CENTCOM's command area would span 19 countries, from Egypt in the west to Pakistan in the east to Kenya in the south. President Reagan and Secretary Weinberger selected Army General Robert Kingston as the first commander of U.S. Central Command. Kingston, who'd led the Rapid Deployment Joint Task Force in 1981, had coincidentally been the man who recommended the name U.S. Central Command for the new organization. Known as Barbed Wire Bob, Kingston was a proven warfighter who'd led troops through some of the most violent moments of the Korean War and led covert operations in Vietnam where he'd earned the Distinguished Service Cross. Kingston knew readiness. He knew the threat posed by Iran. He knew how to mobilize large forces. So on January 1st, 1983, the United States had a new command. CENTCOM was born.